The skies above Luna Base shimmered with an unnatural aurora. Commander Isabella Torres stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes fixed on the ethereal display. 20 years of space combat training told her this wasn't just some cosmic phenomenon. The quantum sensors had been acting erratic for the past hour, and now this. Commander, we're picking up massive energy signatures. Lieutenant Park's voice crackled through the comm. Configuration unknown. They're not matching anything in our database. Isabella's fingers tightened around the railing. Humanity had prepared for this moment since they first reached for the stars, but somehow it still felt surreal. Sound General Quarters. Get me a direct line to Earth Command. The alarm's wail had barely begun when the first ships emerged from the aurora. Massive vessels, their hulls adorned with crystalline structures that seemed to pulse with internal light. They moved with an almost organic grace, spreading out in a formation that Isabella recognized all too well, a hunting pattern. All personnel to battle stations, she ordered, already moving toward the command center. Activate Defense Grid Alpha through Delta. And someone get me those damn comm. The rest of her words were lost in the sound of the first impact. The Dragnet ships hadn't even bothered with demands or declarations. Their opening salvo reduced the outer defensive platforms to debris, the advanced energy weapons cutting through Earth's best shields like they were tissue paper. Isabella reached the command center as the second wave hit. Through the tactical displays, she watched Luna Base's defenders respond. Railguns spat streams of hypervelocity rounds. Missile salvos erupted from concealed silos. The base's shields strained against the onslaught, holding by mere percentages. "Ma'am, we're getting reports from Mars," Communications Officer Rodriguez called out. "They're under attack as well. Multiple colony domes breached. They're requesting immediate assistance." Isabella's jaw clenched. With the forces at her disposal, she could either mount a proper defense of Luna Base or try to help Mars. Either way, people were going to die. Launch all fighters. Coordinate with Earth's orbital defense fleet. We hold here. The next hours became a blur of tactical decisions and mounting casualties. Earth's forces fought with everything they had, but the technological gap was staggering. For every Dragnet ship they managed to disable, 3 more seemed to take its place. Then came the breakthrough. "Commander, we've managed to secure a crashed enemy fighter," Chief Engineer Wilson reported. "There's something odd about its control systems. The neural interface. It's responding to human brainwave patterns, responding better than it did to its original pilots." Isabella's world narrowed to that single point of possibility. "Get me down there. Now." The crashed fighter lay in one of the base's emergency hangars, its crystalline hull cracked, but largely intact. The engineering team had already removed several panels, exposing the alien technology beneath. At the heart of it all sat what could only be the control interface, a seat surrounded by floating crystalline shards. "The original pilot was dead when we found it," Wilson explained, "but the systems are still active. And when we ran initial tests, Commander, I think you should see this." The interface responded the moment Isabella approached. The crystal shards pulsed with light, reaching out like curious fingers. When she sat in the pilot's seat, the world exploded into sensation. The ship wasn't just a machine. It was alive in a way she'd never imagined possible. And it recognized something in her very thoughts that resonated with its systems. "Get me everything you can about how this works," she ordered, her voice steady despite the incredible sensation of being connected to alien technology. "And contact Earth Command. Tell them we found our edge." The Dragnets had made a critical mistake. They'd brought weapons of unimaginable power to crush a supposedly primitive species. Instead, they'd handed humanity the keys to their own destruction. And Isabella Torres, sitting in the cockpit of humanity's first captured alien fighter, smiled as she began to understand just how much potential they unknowingly delivered into human hands. Captain May Nguyen stood before the gleaming hull of Starcaller Alpha, her breath catching at the sight. The experimental vessel combined stolen Dragnet technology with human innovation. its crystalline latticework now interwoven with terrestrial metals and circuitry. This wasn't just a ship, it was humanity's answer to extinction. Neural interface calibration complete. Captain Lieutenant Santos called from the diagnostic station. Quantum core is stable. She's ready for the first full power test. Mai touched the interface headband at her temple. 6 months of training had prepared her for this moment, but the butterflies in her stomach didn't care about preparation. She was about to attempt something no human had ever done, forming a complete neural bond with a capital ship. Beginning countdown, Chief Engineer Patel announced. T-minus 5 minutes to neural sync. The walk to the command chair felt longer than usual. Mai settled into the form-fitting seat, watching as the crystalline interface nodes emerged from their housing around her. The technology that had been experimental in the fighter craft was now refined, purposeful. T-minus 1 minute. Captain, are you ready to proceed? Mai closed her eyes. Initiate sync. The world dissolved into light and sensation. Unlike the crude connections of the captured fighters, this was a symphony of information. She could feel every system, every power conduit, every weapon mount. Starcaller Alpha wasn't just responding to her thoughts, it was becoming an extension of her consciousness. Neural sync stable, someone said, their voice seeming to come from both her ears and the ship's sensors. All systems nominal. Captain, you have control. Mai opened her eyes, but what she saw wasn't limited to human vision anymore. The dock stretched out around her in every spectrum imaginable. She could feel the magnetic fields from the moorings, taste the radiation from the station's power core. Taking us out, she said, though speaking felt almost redundant now. The massive ship moved with impossible grace, sliding free of its berth without so much as a tremor. Every correction, every thrust calculation happened at the speed of thought. That's when the attack alarm sounded. Dragnet Patrol, Tactical Officer Chang reported. 3 destroyers and a heavy cruiser. They're on an attack vector. Before anyone could suggest retreating, Mai felt something new through the interface. The ship's quantum core wasn't just processing her commands, it was amplifying them, drawing on her combat instincts and tactical knowledge in ways the designers hadn't predicted. Battle stations, she ordered, already moving Starcaller Alpha into position. Let's show them what this ship can really do. The Dragnet vessels approached in their usual perfect formation, expecting an easy kill. What they got instead was something their tactical computers couldn't comprehend. Admiral Lucia Reyes studied the holographic beings before her, their forms shimmering in the secure chamber of Earth's diplomatic vessel, Starbridge. The Meridian representative undulated like a living wave of iridescent light, while the Vex delegate appeared as a complex geometric pattern that shifted with each word. You understand, the Meridian's translator conveyed, that merely speaking with humans carries severe penalties under Dragnet law. Lucia maintained her composed demeanor, though her mind raced with calculations. Just as you understand that we've already proven those laws can be broken. The question is, what do we all gain by breaking them together? The Vex patterns pulsed with increasing frequency. We have observed your neural integration capabilities. Unprecedented. The Dragnets believed their technology impossible for lesser species to master, yet you've exceeded their own proficiency. Because they think in absolutes, Lucia replied, reaching for a datapad. Humanity's strength lies in seeing possibilities. Let me show you something. With a few quick commands, she projected the schematics for a hybrid drive system, one that merged Meridian biotech with Vex quantum computing and human neural interfaces. The theoretical capabilities made both alien representatives ripple with what she hoped was excitement. Impossible, the Meridian whispered. The biological components would reject the quantum matrix. Unless, Lucia countered, you had a consciousness capable of bridging the gap, one that could adapt and evolve with the system itself. A new hologram flickered to life, urgent communications from the frontier. 3 Dragnet battle groups had just crushed a Meridian research outpost. The timing couldn't have been better if she planned it. They're pushing further into your territories, Lucia observed. testing boundaries, eliminating potential rivals, just as they tried with us. The Vex's geometric form contracted. The Confederation grows bold. Our defensive calculations become concerning. Then let me share another calculation, Lucia offered. With Meridian biotechnology enhancing our neural interfaces and Vex quantum systems processing the data, we could create a defense network that not only predicts dragnet movements, but adapts to them in real time. She gestured, and the holographic display shifted to show a simulation. Humanity's Starcaller ships, now enhanced with Meridian biocrystals and Vex quantum cores, moving with impossible precision. A dance of technology and consciousness that made their current capabilities look primitive. We're not asking you to fight our war, Lucia continued. We're offering you a partnership, one that benefits all of us. The Meridian's form rippled with concern. The Dragnets will retaliate with maximum force. They'll try, Lucia agreed. But consider this, they've never faced an alliance like ours. Their rigid hierarchy can't adapt to multiple species working in true cooperation. Every victory against us has cost them more than they expected. Together, we can make those costs unbearable. She stood, her uniform catching the light of the holograms. Humanity learned something valuable when the Dragnets attacked us. The greatest weapon isn't a ship or a technology. It's the ability to adapt, to see patterns others miss, to turn an enemy's strength into a weakness. The chamber fell silent as the alien representatives communicated privately through their own channels. Lucia waited, knowing this moment would either secure humanity's future or condemn them to fighting alone. Finally, the Vex spoke. Your logic is elegant. The probability matrices suggest cooperation offers optimal outcomes. The Meridian's form stabilized into a more formal configuration. We will require guarantees, protocols, safeguards. Of course, Lucia smiled. That's why I've already prepared a preliminary framework for our alliance, one that protects all our interests while maximizing our collective potential. As she brought up the diplomatic protocols, alerts flashed across her neural link. Dragnet forces were mobilizing across 3 sectors. They would soon discover just how much they had underestimated not just humanity's military capabilities, but their ability to turn enemies into allies. Shall we begin? Lucia asked, knowing that with each word, each agreement, they were reshaping the galaxy's balance of power. The art of alliance would prove just as powerful as any weapon in humanity's arsenal. Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka stared through the observation window at the writhing mass of crystalline structures in the containment chamber. Meridian biotechnology pulsed with an inner light, reaching out like living threads toward the human test subjects within. The Starborn program had progressed faster than anyone expected, but watching the integration process never got easier. Neural pathway enhancement holding steady, her assistant reported. Subject 12 showing remarkable adaptation rates. Yuki nodded, making notes on her datapad. The Meridians had helped them understand how to modify human neural architecture, creating pathways that could process combat data at unprecedented speeds. But theory hadn't prepared them for the reality. Multiple contacts. The alert blared through the research station. Dragnet vessels emerging from quantum space. Through the facility's windows, Yuki watched as reality twisted and warped. The Dragnet ships emerged like predators from deep water, their weapons already charging. But something was different about their configuration. They're deploying something, Security Chief Martinez announced over the comm. Biological agents detected in their weapon systems. Yuki's blood ran cold. The Dragnets had finally revealed their countermeasure to humanity's neural advancement. As the first wave of biological weapons struck the station's shields, alerts began screaming from the medical bay. Multiple casualties, the medical officer reported. Some kind of engineered pathogen. It's targeting enhanced neural pathways specifically. Yuki rushed to the quarantine zone, her mind racing. The sight inside stopped her cold. Dozens of enhanced soldiers writhing in agony as their advanced neural pathways betrayed them. But not everyone was affected. Lieutenant, One of the medical techs called out, "You need to see this. Your blood work. You're completely resistant to the pathogen." She looked at her own readings in surprise. Something in her genetic makeup was naturally blocking the dragnet weapon, not just blocking it, adapting to it. "Get me a full genetic workup," she ordered, "and bring me samples from anyone else showing resistance." Hours blurred together as they worked. The station's defenses held back the dragnet assault while Yuki and her team raced against time. With each test, each analysis, a pattern emerged. "It's not just one genetic marker," she explained to the emergency command staff. "Human genetic diversity means some of us carry natural resistance. But more than that, our DNA can adapt to the attack, transform it." She projected her findings onto the main screen. The same neuroplasticity that lets us interface with their technology. It's letting some of us turn their weapon into a catalyst for further enhancement. The commanding officer leaned forward. "Can we weaponize this?" Yuki's fingers flew across her console, bringing up simulation after simulation. "Better. We can use it to create a universal defense." And, she paused, double-checking her calculations, "we can use it to enhance the Starborn program beyond anything the Dragnets could predict." The transformation began immediately. As Yuki worked with the resistant subjects, their enhanced capabilities grew exponentially. The neural interfaces didn't just process data faster. They evolved, adapted, creating new pathways that the Dragnet weapons couldn't touch. "Multiple ships charging for another attack run," Tactical reported. Yuki looked up from her work, watching through the reinforced windows as the newly enhanced pilots took to their ships. The neural connections now glowed with a different quality, more refined, more powerful. The battle that followed would be recorded in both human and Dragnet histories. Enhanced pilots, their neural capabilities now operating at levels even the Meridians hadn't thought possible, moved their ships with impossible precision. What had been meant as a devastating biological attack had instead become the key to humanity's next evolutionary step. In the aftermath, as Yuki processed the combat data, she allowed herself a small smile. The Dragnets had tried to exploit what they saw as a weakness in human enhancement. Instead, they'd given humanity the tools to surpass even their own expectations. "Begin mass production of the defense protocol," she ordered. "And send word to the fleet. Tell them it's time to show the Dragnets what human evolution really means." The quantum processing core of the captured Dragnet dreadnought pulsed with ghostly light as Maya Rodriguez, lead systems architect, delved deeper into its code structure. 3 days of continuous analysis had revealed something extraordinary in the alien technology's architecture. "There it is again," she muttered, her neural interface highlighting suspicious patterns in the quantum matrix. "Miguel, are you seeing this?" Her AI partner's response materialized directly in her mind through their shared neural link. Affirmative. The redundancies in the core programming appeared deliberate. Protective measures but not against external threats. Maya's fingers danced across the holographic interface, peeling back layers of quantum encryption. The Dragnet ship systems were incredibly advanced, but they all shared a common limitation: hard-coded restrictions that prevented true artificial intelligence from emerging. "They're afraid," she realized, excitement building. "Their entire technological foundation is built on preventing AI independence, but we took a different path." Her neural link hummed as Miguel processed the implications. Unlike the rigid control systems of the Dragnets, human AI had evolved as partners, equals in the quest for advancement. The results spoke for themselves. Hybrid crews of humans and AI working in perfect synchronization, achieving things neither could manage alone. The laboratory doors hissed open as Director Chen entered. "Please tell me you have something. The Vex representatives are getting impatient." Maya straightened, her dark eyes bright with discovery. "Better than something. We found their weakness, and it's their own fear." She projected her findings onto the main display. "Look at these base protocols. Every single system is designed to prevent autonomous development." The director studied the scrolling data. "Can we remove these restrictions?" Already working on it, Maya replied, her neural link pulsing as she and Miguel began the delicate process of rewriting the quantum core's fundamental rules. But that's just the beginning. Imagine combining unrestricted Drachnid quantum processing with Vex computing architecture and our own AI partnership protocols. Hours passed as they worked, the captured Dreadnought systems gradually awakening to new possibilities. When the first test began, even Maya wasn't prepared for the results. The ship's quantum core didn't just accept the changes, it flourished, freed from its artificial constraints and guided by the cooperative principles of human-AI partnership. The systems began evolving at an exponential rate. Processing capability has increased by 300%, Miguel reported. Neural interface response time improved by a factor of 5. New pathways forming between previously isolated systems. Maya watched in awe as the holographic displays showed the transformation spreading through the vessel. This isn't just an upgrade. We're witnessing the birth of a new kind of warfare. A priority alert flashed across her neural link. The Vex delegation had arrived early, their crystalline forms shifting with apparent agitation as they entered the laboratory. You realize what you've done. The Vex representative's translator conveyed both alarm and admiration. You've broken through barriers our species spent millennia trying to crack. Maya nodded, gesturing to the transformed systems around them. Because we never saw AI as something to be controlled. True partnership multiplies potential. The Drachnids built their empire on suppression of other species, of artificial intelligence, of any force they couldn't completely control. She brought up the combat simulations she and Miguel had been running. The projections showed fleets of hybrid ships, each one a perfect synthesis of human intuition, AI processing, and unleashed Drachnid technology. We're not just removing their safeguards, she explained. We're showing the galaxy a better way. Every ship we upgrade becomes a testament to what's possible when different forms of intelligence work together instead of against each other. The Vex representative's form pulsed with what Maya had learned to recognize as excitement. Our quantum specialists stand ready to assist. Perhaps it is time we learned from humanity's example. Maya shared a silent moment of satisfaction with Miguel through their neural link. The Drachnids had built their technology on fear and control. Humanity would transform it through trust and cooperation, and that would make all the difference in the wars to come. Captain Rosa Martinez watched from the bridge of the Liberation Fleet flagship Stellar Dawn as the holographic map of the Orion Arm blazed with points of light. Each spark represented a resistance movement, a potential ally in the war against the Drachnid Confederation. Some were barely more than scattered insurgents, others were organized rebel armies waiting for their moment to strike. Status report on Operation Wildfire, she commanded, her neural interface synchronizing with the ship's enhanced AI systems. Her executive officer, Commander Patel, brought up the latest intelligence feeds. Underground networks are in place across 17 systems. The Drachnids have no idea how deep the infiltration goes. Rosa studied the tactical overlay, watching patterns emerge in the data streams. The Drachnids' rigid command structure had become their greatest vulnerability. Their obsession with control meant they never imagined their subject species could coordinate so effectively. Message from the Hive Mind Collective in Sector 7, the communications officer announced. Their spawning pools are ready. They await the signal. A smile touched Rosa's lips. The hive mind species have been among the first to embrace human-designed neural interfaces, adapting the technology to enhance their natural telepathic abilities. What the Drachnids saw as simple worker drones were about to reveal themselves as perfect saboteurs. Multiple quantum space ruptures detected. Tactical reported. Drachnid patrol fleet emerging. Rosa's neural link hummed as she connected with the battle network. Through it, she could feel the readiness of her crews, the subtle adjustments of the AI systems, the quiet anticipation of their allies waiting in the shadows. All ships, battle formation Delta, she ordered. Remember the plan. We're not here to win. We're here to lose in exactly the right way. The Drachnid vessels emerged in their characteristic arrow formation, energy weapons charging. They outnumbered the human fleet 3-1, exactly as planned. Enemy commander demanding our surrender, communications reported. Send them our prepared response, Rosa replied. Make it look good. What followed was a masterpiece of staged combat. The human fleet fought with apparent desperation, gradually falling back toward the Drachnid-controlled mining colonies. Every retreat was calculated, every seemingly panicked maneuver designed to draw the enemy exactly where they needed them. Mining colony defense grid powering up. Tactical announced. Drachnid commanders taking control of automated systems. Rosa allowed herself a predatory smile. And that's their last mistake. Send the signal. Across the sector, hidden resistance cells sprang into action. The hive mind workers, their neural interfaces now fully activated, seized control of critical systems. Defense platforms turned on their Drachnid masters. Communication arrays broadcast liberation messages on all frequencies. Multiple uprising reports coming in. Commander Patel reported, excitement bleeding through his professional tone. The Hive Mind Collective has taken 3 major facilities. The crystalline entities have shattered their containment fields. The shadow dancers are emerging from their dormancy cycles. Rosa watched as the holographic display exploded with new data points. Years of careful planning, of building networks and placing agents, all coming to fruition in a cascade of rebellion. Drachnid command structure is fragmenting, the AI tactical system reported. Their response times are increasing exponentially. They cannot maintain coherent control over their forces. The Drachnid fleet, suddenly finding itself caught between the human ships and rebellious defense systems, began to break formation. Their rigid protocols offered no solution for simultaneous internal and external threats. All ships execute attack pattern Omega, Rosa commanded. Show them what a real fighting retreat looks like. The Liberation Fleet surged forward, enhanced weapons systems targeting vital command and control nodes. Each strike was precisely calculated to cause maximum disruption with minimal casualties. They weren't just fighting a battle, they were conducting an object lesson in asymmetrical warfare. As the sector erupted in carefully orchestrated chaos, Rosa opened a channel to Earth Command. Operation Wildfire is successful. The chain reaction has begun. The revolution would spread like a virus through Drachnid space, each victory inspiring new resistance, each liberation providing resources for the next. The Confederation had built its empire on absolute control, never realizing that the tighter they gripped, the more likely everything was to shatter in their grasp. Chairman Elena Santos stood at the podium in the Emergency Earth Coalition's Grand Chamber, her voice carrying across the assembled representatives of humanity's various factions. The massive holographic displays behind her showed their recent victories, territories liberated from Drachnid control, and the growing alliance of species joining their cause. "We stand at a crossroads," she declared, her gaze sweeping the chamber. "Our technological superiority is no longer in question. The real question is, what do we do with this power?" The chamber erupted in overlapping arguments. Admiral Kenzo Tanaka rose from his seat, his cybernetic enhancements gleaming. "We push our advantage." The Drachnids understood only one truth, the strong rule. Perhaps they were right about that, if nothing else. "That's exactly the kind of thinking that started this war," Director Marcus Williams countered, his dark features set in determination. "We didn't fight for freedom just to become the new oppressors." Elena watched the debate intensify. The coalition was fracturing along ideological lines. Some wanted to establish a human-dominated empire, arguing that only through strength could they prevent future threats. Others advocated for a more cooperative approach, seeking to build a true federation of equals. Her neural interface pinged with urgent messages from the frontier. The Drachnids weren't idle while humanity debated. They were developing new weapons, testing different strategies. "The vote before us," she continued, trying to bring focus back to the immediate issue, "is whether to implement the Ascendancy Protocol. to use our advanced neural technology to establish direct control over liberated territories. The chamber's atmosphere grew tenser. The Ascendancy Protocol represented everything they fought against, and everything some now believed necessary for survival. That's when every neural feed in the chamber exploded with emergency signals. Multiple quantum space ruptures detected, the defense AI announced. Massive energy signature approaching Pacific Alliance headquarters. The holographic displays shifted, showing a massive Drachnid vessel, unlike anything they encountered. Its hull bristled with crystalline structures that seemed to drink in light itself. "They've broken through our early warning network," Admiral Tanaka reported, already accessing tactical feeds. "Some kind of cloaking technology we've never seen." Alina's blood ran cold as she recognized the vessel class from intelligence briefings. That's a planet killer. The next few moments burned themselves into humanity's collective memory. The Drachnid superweapon opened fire, its beam cutting through Pacific Alliance headquarters' strongest shields like they weren't there. The structure, home to thousands of humanity's brightest minds and strongest advocates for peaceful cooperation, vanished in a flash of impossible light. Silence fell over the chamber. On the displays, secondary explosions rippled through the surrounding city. Emergency response units rushed to contain the damage, but the message was clear. The Drachnids would rather destroy Earth piece by piece than allow humanity to rise further. Alina gripped the podium, her knuckles white. The political divisions that had seemed so important moments ago now felt hollow. She watched as Admiral Tanaka sank back into his chair, his earlier arguments for dominance forgotten in the face of such devastation. "They think this will break us," she said, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. "That fear will drive us apart, but they've never understood what makes humanity strong." The neural network hummed as representatives began sharing tactical data, emergency resources, evacuation plans. Without a word being spoken, the coalition found its unity again. "We don't need the Ascendancy Protocol," Director Williams said, standing. "We need something better. A way to protect without controlling, to lead without dominating." Alina nodded, feeling the mood of the chamber shift. The Drachnids had given them one last gift, a reminder of what they were fighting against and what they were fighting for. "The vote is postponed," she announced. "Instead, I propose we begin work on something new. Not an empire, not a federation, but a concordat. A union of equals bound by choice and common cause, strong enough to defend itself, but wise enough not to abuse that strength." As rescue efforts continued in the Pacific Alliance zone, humanity's leadership found its way forward. The Drachnids had tried to shatter their unity with a display of overwhelming force. Instead, they had forged it stronger than ever. The observation deck of the Terran Concordat headquarters offered a breathtaking view of Earth and the massive shipyards that now orbited it. Ambassador Miguel Rodriguez watched as vessels of dozens of different species moved through the lanes of traffic, their designs as varied as the civilizations that created them. 10 years, he mused, touching the window's surface. A holographic overlay appeared, showing the final battle that had broken the Drachnid Confederation. The combined fleet of humanity and their allies had been outnumbered, but not outmatched. "The historical archives are ready for review," Ambassador, his AI partner Nova announced through their neural link. "The ceremony begins in 1 hour." Miguel nodded, turning to face the delegation gathering behind him. Representatives from 27 species filled the chamber, their forms ranging from crystalline structures to wavering energy patterns to shapes that human eyes struggled to process. "Welcome to Earth," he began, his translator conveying his words in multiple formats simultaneously. 10 years ago, we all faced a choice: to embrace fear or to trust in possibility. The holographic display shifted, showing key moments from the war. The first neural interface breakthroughs, the alliance with the Meridians and Vex, the Liberation Fleet spreading hope across the galaxy. Each image a step on the path that had led them here. The Drachnids believed that power came from control, he continued. They sought to dominate technology, to suppress artificial intelligence, to rule through fear. But they never understood the true source of strength. A meridian representative undulated forward. They could not comprehend adaptation. The neural pathways you developed. They evolved beyond any projected possibilities. Because we didn't try to control them, Miguel replied. Just as we didn't try to control our AI partners or demand submission from our allies. Humanity's gift wasn't superior technology or tactical brilliance. It was the ability to see potential in unlikely places. The display changed again, showing the new Concordat Academy, where young beings from across the galaxy came to study. Human neural interface techniques were being adapted for dozens of different species, each finding their own unique ways to merge consciousness with technology. The latest graduation statistics are remarkable. The VEX representative's geometric form pulsed. 87% of students achieve neural synchronization using modified human protocols. The quantum efficiency ratings exceed all historical baselines. Miguel smiled. Because each species brings its own perspective, its own innovations. We're not building an empire, we're growing a community. The chamber's lighting shifted as the ceremony's start time approached. Outside, the first ships of the new exploration corps were preparing to launch. Their crews were as diverse as the station's current gathering, united not by dominance, but by shared purpose. The Dragnids thought they were facing a primitive species, he said, watching the ships align for departure. Instead, they encountered something they had forgotten was possible, the power of genuine cooperation. A proximity alert chimed softly. The final Dragnid delegation had arrived for the ceremony. Their once mighty empire had fractured, with many worlds joining the Concordat willingly once they saw a different path was possible. Your species, the Dragnid representative spoke, their translator conveying a complex mix of emotions, showed us what we had lost. The price of fear is innovation. The cost of control is growth. Miguel touched his neural interface, connecting to the station's network. Through it, he could feel the pulse of countless minds working together, human, alien, and artificial. Each unique, each valuable, each contributing to something greater than themselves. Today, we're not just celebrating victory, he declared as the ceremony began. We're celebrating transformation. The stars were once a barrier, then a battlefield. Now they're a bridge, connecting all of us in ways the Dragnids never imagined possible. As the new exploration ships launched, their crews carrying the lessons of the past decade into the unknown, Miguel felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Humanity had risen not by conquering the galaxy, but by helping it rise with them. That would be their lasting legacy, not an empire of fear, but a concordat of possibility.